Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to take you through a recap of the match that concluded yesterday between myself and International Master Eric Rosen. Eric and I could not be more different in terms of our online, on-camera personality. In person, he is about the same. I am significantly more calm than you might, see me in some of these recaps or on Twitch. Eric and I have also played thousands of games against each other in Bullet and Blitz, a couple of games over the board as well. And we played in the last year's I Am Not a GM Speed Chess Championship, which I barely won. I was down 3 games going into the Bullet, and not even going into the Bullet, in the Bullet itself, and I managed to win in overtime. So this year, we just played a match yesterday, and I'm going to take you through it. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to be completely open and honest. Let me fix the hood, just for the people that need, balance. So, let's jump into the games. First things first, going into this match, I was prepared for Eric's openings, with black. I knew he was going to play a Queen's Gambit declined. I had a feeling if I played c4, he would play e6, d5 setups. And the match began with 5+1 blitz. I played the English, and he played something I wasn't expecting. I was not expecting him to play e5. And prior to the match, I was actually going to play, this setup against his e6, d5, just kind of these non-committal d4 systems. And by the time we got into already like move 5, he surprised me in the opening with the move d5. I know this is an idea, like black has various, tactical ideas to go knight b4 after white takes. So what I did here is I just tried to stabilize the position with a3. I mean, I'm very, very, very slightly better here. And as this game progressed, he was playing super fast. And I got a relatively unpleasant position from the opening. Like, I played some improving moves, but Eric is just clearly better here. He's clearly better because both of my bishops are blocked, and he has a very nice idea to route his knight to b5 and to d4. So already the first game was off to not a very good start, because if you just take a quick look at this position, I am just completely tied down. Not to mention I'm down 2 minutes on the clock. And that is really the story of my matches against Eric. Like, not just against Eric, really anytime I'm getting nervous, but Eric will play faster, he will play more confident, and I tend to play much slower in these formats because I get nervous. I just honestly get nervous. We'll get more thoughts on that later. In the end of this video, you can skip ahead to the final thoughts. Again, I'm off to a very bad start. I didn't play my game plan. My plan was not to play into a reverse Sicilian with c4, e5. It was to force him into e5, d5 system. So obviously I should go here on the second move to prevent e5, which I didn't do. So I got away from my game plan, and I'm just clearly worse. And I'm honestly just sitting there kind of waiting for him to put me away. And then here he hesitates a little bit. He hesitates, he kind of plays a couple of weird moves and doesn't really, and finally he takes the pawn. But the second he takes the pawn, me with 7 seconds on the clock, strike with g5, and all of a sudden I'm winning. I'm just winning. The way he did this is he loosened the blockade on the center, and he grabbed the pawn, activating my bishop, and now g5, his whole position falls apart. And I won this game in style. He played here. He took my queen, and I didn't even take back on f4. I sacked my queen. Look at this. Barreling the rooks down the f-file, and the rook is hanging. So I won this game, now threatening mate on f8. I won this game in an explosive manner, winning all of his pieces. Bishop d4. Look at this. At the end of the game, I would have been up 16 points of material. I won this game with 7 seconds versus like 2 minutes. Okay, but this is not a winning strategy, all right? You cannot play so slowly. It's going to come back to get you. He is going to consolidate. And he did. In the early portion of the 5+1, we traded blows. He was winning with white. I was winning with white. And the next game that I'm going to show you is game 6. At this point, the score is 3-2 me. And Eric with white, I was ready for him to play e4 because our last match, he basically played 1 line into my Caro Kann, and this time he played 2 knights. And I kept getting very decent positions with the move g6. Objectively speaking, white is completely fine. Of course, this doesn't solve any of the opening problems, but if any of you remember, I recently played this line in an over-the-board tournament, and I got a relatively good position. And Eric kept playing into this position, where I was playing like a Tartakower. Like, we had this throughout the entire match. And I was playing a5, routing my knight to the middle of the board, and kicking out his bishop, and then getting a position that looks kind of like this. Now, it turns out that bishop e6 is actually not a great move, because he can improve on the position with the move c4, which he did throughout the match. He did a little bit of research on this variation, and I was actually still completely happy with the positions that we were getting, but I was playing it I was playing it wrong. I should not have been playing bishop e6. In this position, I should have been playing apparently queen here and pawn here, but that's not, that's besides the point. Throughout this game, I just slowly outplayed Eric. He created positional weaknesses for my knight on d5, and then I kind of put that knight on d4, put the bishop on d5, and I have a total clamp on the position. I'm much, much better. I just have to find a way to win these pawns. And I do, admittedly in the middle of a miscalculation. Here he attacks my rook, and I was like, oh, I can take, and if he takes, I just take. Yeah, but that's completely incorrect, because after this and queen e2, he can take, rook e1, bishop c4, check, I have to block, and there's bishop e7. So I thought I was out-calculating him, and I did. And as the game progressed, I got into an opposite-colored bishop endgame, right? I got into an endgame where we have dark-squared bishop, light-squared bishop, and I have two-pawn advantage. But Eric defended this position so well. He won one of my pawns. And now, for the rest of the game, we have about 10 seconds each, and it's complete pandemonium. And it's just disaster. It's just very low. Look at him. He walks his king all the way into my position. My pawn is on b2, which was a completely idiotic decision, by the way. Why would I do this with my pawns? Why wouldn't I do this where the bishop cannot stop me promoting? Instead, I push my pawn where the bishop can stop me promoting. And now I go from 2 pawns up to completely lost. I'm just completely lost here because he just plays the move h4. And a couple moves later in the time scramble, I blunder my rook. This is just a full rook. I did not see that. He didn't see it either. And I'm just losing. And here, the only hope I have is pinning him to his king and disconnecting the rook. And that is exactly what I did. So now I'm winning again. So I barely managed to win this game and take a 2-game lead. Now I'm feeling great. I promote, he promotes, but I get there and I win a game with black, which is very nice. After seemingly kind of navigating the positions better, I'm up 4-2. 4-2, it's a great spot for me. And now, the final game of the 5+1, Eric had been playing this exchange variation, Queen's Gambit declined, but he was surprising me because he was playing Bishop F5. He's a very, very, very big advocate of Bishop D6. He plays this all the time, and he plays specifically this variation where White plays Bishop D3, Knight E2, and then Eric plays A5 and tries to play like this. So he's played this a lot. And before the match, I did some work on this line, but then he surprised me with Bishop F5, and I had been playing this, which I know is not the best move. The best move after Bishop F5 is Queen F3. I knew that, but I didn't remember it, so my plan was to kind of make it out of this segment and then prepare in between segments. I have a 6-minute break, 5-minute break. I was going to go study this line, which is, it's fine. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to make kind of adjustments between the matches, kind of between the segments of the match. So I played Bishop D3, and we had been playing this structure for sort of the early portion of the match. And it's completely equal, but I really was not convinced by the way he was handling the position. He was giving me this pawn on A4 as a target. I was thinking to play Rook E3, Rook H3, and I did that. And, we got to this certain situation where he got a lock in the center, and I had a thought here to play G4, G5, but I'm up 2 games. This is the last game of the 5+1. Why would I take that risk? That doesn't make any sense to me. So what did I do? I decided to repeat moves. I repeated moves. I was repeating. I'm like, what is he gonna do? I mean, again, I can play G4, G5 maybe, but why? I mean, I don't want to take the risk. And then Eric blunders a pawn. So he was I baited him into not taking the repetition because he doesn't want to go down 2 games into the 3-minute. Plays Queen B3, he just straight up hangs a pawn. I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing? Knight E4, and now if he takes my queen, I take his knight check, in between move, and I'm up a pawn. But from this point forward, Eric defended like a computer. He played knight back to D6, and he played every move instantly. Rook to A4, hitting my pawn. Look how passively he's made my position. I can't move anything. I can't move my B rook forward at all. I can't move anything. And suddenly my time is at 5 seconds. I'm scrambling. Eric is getting in with both rooks, and he's better. And I knew I shouldn't play rook e3. I knew it because I would create a weakness, and his knight would get in, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, that's exactly what happened. I just totally malfunctioned. Knight e4. He takes both pawns, and I'm losing. He just goes from pawn down to pawn up, and he ends up... Well, he misses mate in one here. He had knight h5 mate, which I didn't even see. But he wins my rook and the rest of my pawns. And this game was brutal. This game was really the turning point in the match. So it's now 4-3 after 5+1. I make an adjustment. You know, I spend my break taking a look at this variation, queen f3. And I'm not really worried about his adjustment in the Caro. So this is now the first game of the 3+1 blitz. We go into the same line. And this is another thing, like, I didn't want to play the Caro-Kann the whole match. I was ready to play the modern. I was ready to play the French. I was ready to play the Scandinavian. I told myself, do not play the same opening the whole match. And I did. I just did. There was nothing I could do. And this game was very similar. And then for some reason, I decided to play b5 and a4. Because in my mind, I was like, he probably spent the break reviewing something. I'm going to take him out of his prep zone. So he plays d5. Okay. Obviously, the idea is to deflect me off of this. And I took a look at this position, and I didn't like it. I didn't like that my pawn was weak. I didn't like this, and I completely missed knight c7. I mean, knight c7 just kicks out his bishop. If he goes here, rook a6, you know, he has to retreat. There's nothing. He really doesn't have anything here. Maybe f5 next, maybe a3 to try to damage his structure. Instead of that, I play bishop b7, and then I just blunder a fork. I just straight up blunder a fork, proceed to lose both my pawns on the queen side, and it gets even worse. I get my knight trapped on b2. I lose the game in 20 moves. It's now 4-4. It's now 4-4, okay? The next game, after he has now evened the match, I have white, and I'm ready, and here we go. It's time to use my prep. I just reviewed this line. The idea is to get this kind of structure. There's no way I'm going to lose this. I mean, why would Eric deliberately do this? Damaged pawns, like, white is just calmly better here. And then he played every move so fast. He played every move in 1 second, and I just couldn't keep up. Like, I tried to, you know, get to a position that was just a little bit better for me. He got the b4 square. He got his knight on d6, and I was just handling the position so poorly. He equalized immediately. That knight on d6 looking very nice. The knight coming to e4, the rook coming to g7. The position is equal, but the time is not. Look at what I'm doing. I'm moving back and forth. I got no plan in the position. And every move he's making is improving his position. Bishop b4. And here I miscalculate. I miscalculate that after takes, his knight is trapped. So I thought that I'm trapping his knight like this. I'm not. I'm not trapping his knight at all. He can take my pawn and defend his rook. So now, by move 30, we're in a position where we have symmetrical pawns. But I'm losing. I miscount the amount of pawns. I thought it was 6-6. It's 6-5. What? I miscounted the amount of pawns on the board. Huh? So what does he do? I mean, he just, you know, and he's up a minute and a half in a 3-minute portion. What am I doing? Complete breakdown. Complete mental collapse. I mean, I can't count the pawns, and, you know, he gets my pawn, he wins the game. Just effortlessly, completely crushing me. Like it's nothing. We're not, it's an embarrassment that we're 50 points apart, honestly. The way we are playing, we're 400 points apart. It's unreal. I did work on this line on the break, and I just played slowly and terribly. So now from 2 down, he's up 1. I managed to win the next game. It was actually not a bad game. But look at the very next game. I decide to play a Jobava London because this was another one of my ideas. I wanted to play Jobava London. He plays c5, okay, e3, and he plays this. I know for a fact that when the bishop comes to g4 in the Jobava London, the best thing to do is to play f3. And then it's to play like, you know, maybe bishop d3, maybe g4 in some position, g4, g5 in some positions. Okay, maybe bishop e2 is not a bad move to like then take like this, get c3, etc. Okay, I play here, 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 and I just hang a pawn. I either hang a pawn or I hang a structural damage to my position for no reason. I'm making mistakes on move 7. I mean, the self-hatred at this point in the match is at an all-time high. I don't know what's going on with me. I just don't know. That game that he beat me in, the last game of the 5+1, was such a gut punch. You know? Like, this game, when I was a pawn up, he blundered a pawn in a repetition of moves. The way he defended this position, it made me feel like nothing I could do was going to be good enough in this match. Which caused me to lose the next game in 20 moves, okay? And I tried to fight back, all right? I tried to fight back, but I blunder a pawn on move 7. I mean, he just, you know, he outplays me. This game was a long game. It's not really worth looking at him. He just played like a normal person and not like me. I mean, he just simplified the position. He ended up winning a longer rook endgame. Now, I'm down 2 games. This is the last game of the 3+1. At this point, I'm frustrated with myself, and, you know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to play fast. So this game, I turn everything around. Let's go. Eric is up 2 games, but this is ridiculous. He's playing this bad line of the QGD. You know, I castle long. I'm playing my style. I'm playing aggressively. That knight on h5, dominating his rook and his bishop, all right? I'm going to crack the center open with the move e4 to get down the e-file. +1 advantage for white. f5. He sacrifices a pawn here. I blunder f2 here for absolutely no reason because I'm an idiot. Of course, I should play rook f3. But he doesn't even take it, okay? And we get this position where it's plus like 0.5, plus 0.6, and he plays a4. And I knew he was going to play a4. A few times in this match, I predicted what he was going to do because I know him. I know Eric. I've played him enough times. He calculated here knight a4, rook a4, b4, knight c4, but I have rook c3, and he creates some counterplay here, and my time is ticking, but look at this position. I have him completely dominated here. It is +3. However, there is still enough fluctuation in this position that it's not easy to put him away. It's +3 if and only if I play rook d3. The point of rook d3 is that if, for example, he plays this move, I have a fork, he can check me, and I would move, but now he cannot protect his rook and his knight. So rook b5 would run into rook c4, and he gets bulldozed. I didn't want to put my knight in front of my rook. I was worried about not defending d7. So what do I do in this position? I don't stay patient. I could even maybe just like defend this, just like keep the tension. Instead, I don't know what to do. I cannot make any more improving moves. So I try to cash out of the casino. And I throw the game. I throw the game because he's going to get my knight, which is going to get my pawn, which is going to get us into a drawn rook endgame. So I did everything in this game. I got the new prep on the board. I played fast the entire game. I played my style the entire game. For 30 moves, I was pushing the pace to him. I was playing in my style, and I was out calculating him in my style. And he defended to the end, and I had to find a move on move 35 to just apply that next level of pressure. The idea of rook d3 is to defend this pawn and play a3. So the idea is to play a3, and then he can't take either of my pawns. So that's why I have to play rook d3. I didn't see this idea. I tried to cash out too soon. His defense outlasted my offense, and because of this, I was not able to bring the match within 1. Going into the bullet, it stays a 2-point lead, and the bullet was a disaster. Last year in the bullet, he also had a multiple game lead going into it. So I was actually pretty confident that I might be able to, I might be able to do something. He destroyed me in the first game of the bullet, and just to give you an understanding of how nervous and just frozen I became, Folks, throughout this match, I was playing this line, right? You've just seen me play this line. Bishop f5, queen f3. In the bullet, I played this. I forgot my opening. I didn't play this on purpose. In the bullet, I won a game at some point, and it was a 3-point match with 17 minutes on the clock. And I literally misplayed the opening that I've been playing the entire match. And he killed me. I mean, like, I couldn't even recover from misplaying the opening. We played some moves, and he just completely just... Like I said in the post-match interview, and I'll talk about this in the final thoughts, it felt like fighting your dad. Like when you're a kid and you think you're like grown up, you want to fight your dad. I mean, it was just unbelievable what he was doing in this match. And another thing that I did in the bullet, I decided to go to the Scandinavian. I was thinking to play the Scandinavian at some point, and I got my queen trapped. No, I didn't get my queen trapped, but I just lost a piece in like 13 moves. He played this kind of obscure line, bishop e2, and with the idea of knight e5 followed by g4, etc. And I was playing this variation a little bit. And I mean, I just blundered a full piece. I can't guard my bishop. So I had to sack my queen, and I mean, he just stomped on my hopes and dreams. And there was some more bullet games, but it really doesn't matter. Eric won the match, 12.5. It really should be 6.5, but I got 1 point at the end. Like, we just had like one. I think our final game was a double bomb cloud. Yeah, our final game was a double bomb cloud. So, and I ended up winning this game. So I lost the match 12.5 to 7.5. And you should watch the post-match interview. I was very, very honest, and I will say it here again. The last GM Norm tournament I played, GM Norm, not IM Norm tournament, I felt the same way I felt in this match, where I was staring at the board and I was seeing nothing. Not only was I seeing nothing, I felt nothing. I felt empty. I felt like whatever I was going to do was not going to be enough. It just wasn't going to be enough. And I don't feel like that when I boot up a stream and I play Blitz and I have the chat. I don't feel that way. I feel free because it doesn't matter that much. What I felt yesterday from that final 5+1 game to the early and middle of the 3-1 was unbelievable. I cannot describe it. And what made it worse was that Eric was playing so resiliently. So even when I got out and I was pushing the pace, he wouldn't go away. He was still there, and the time was ticking. And then it got low on time, and he was more accurate in the scrambles. He's playing super well. His blitz is currently like mid 2700. His bullet is high 2800. So mid 2800. So I'm hoping for him to, go on and continue this form. And to be perfectly honest, I probably need some sort of sports psychologist, because there is no point playing over the board tournaments, or any sort of serious competitions, if I'm going to be feeling the way I felt yesterday. I felt horrible after the match. Like, I wanted to just close my eyes and wake up like a week later, just like forget about it. I mean, it was just so painful. And it was painful not because I knew I didn't play my best. I knew I froze. I just became, I just froze. Had I lost a close match, I would have felt okay. But I felt awful because if I played Eric, I would never beat him by a margin of 6 games. That, like, in this kind of, it just wouldn't happen. But it happened to me. And I mean, your biggest nightmare when you play in one of these events is you're going to get destroyed. You're going to get clowned, embarrassed, and that's what ended up happening yesterday. So, brutal. Absolutely brutal. All my prep before the match out the window completely. Did not want to repeat all the openings. I played 90% same openings in the match. Yeah, nothing went right after the first, 6 games. I was in form, I was playing well, but then it just all fell apart. So, congrats to Eric. And I hope me sharing all of this, is kind of nice to hear, even if it's kind of sucks. And yeah, competitive chess is just not something that just not going well for me at the moment. And you know, maybe I'll fix it in the future. But the truth is, I don't even necessarily even want to. I just kind of want to focus on other stuff. So I hope Eric wins the whole thing, because it would be nice to lose to the eventual winner. And hopefully the next time we play, I can make it a closer match. Peace out. See you in the next video. Get out of here.